All right, have and have not fans, here is another interesting theory video I was thinking about, and honestly it goes back to one of the characters we haven't seen in quite some time, that being Celine Gonzalez, ex-employee of the Cryer estate, ex-mistress of Jim Cryer, and mother of two sons that she had by him. And the last time we saw Celine was when Jim went over to humiliate her at her own apartment by having sex with her, only to show how pathetic she really is. And after saying we're even, because remember, well, Carlos made Celine and his little brother get on TV to expose Jim as a uncaring father. And after that, Jim went over there to Celine's house and say, you know, now we're even. But Celine was like, we're not even, making it seem like she was going to come back bigger and badder than ever before. Yet it's been, if I'm not mistaken, well over a year, and we have yet to see her grace the presence of the haves and have-nots on screen for quite some time. But honestly, I talked about this in a blog way back in the day about, you know, Jim being a father to Celine, Celine and his other sons. And the more I think about it, the more it, and again, this is just me just kind of thinking out loud here, it would actually make sense. I'm not saying that it's right for him to go to Celine, but for him to actually be a father for once, because him failing as a father to Wyatt and Amanda could be a way of him opening his eyes in terms of how to be a real father to his other two sons. Well, Carlos is a grown adult now, so it's, you know, a little too late for him. But honestly, it's more like he just wanted to get to know Jim, because remember, at the end of season 2, he even went to the Cryer estate to drop off some paperwork from the campaign office, and that's, you know, all Celine was selling to Carlos in terms of, you know, hey Jim, Carlos just wants to get to know his father. That's all he wants to know. That's all he wants, no money or anything. And then now he has this other young son, which again is a perfect opportunity for him to change his ways for the better and be a real father for once, instead of being somebody who's molding his children into what he wants them to be, or overprotecting them. Because even Catherine said that you sheltered Wyatt and Amanda all their lives, and because of that they're going to eventually crumble into pieces. Because I think even Candice said that, hey, don't blame me for your daughter's death. It's like you're the one who raised her, and she wasn't ready to deal with people like me in the real world. And that's actually a fact. Now you got to think about what would drive Jim to be with Celine. Now again, I'm not saying that those two are going to hook up or anything like that, or I'm just saying that in terms of Jim opening his eyes to be a father, he is what I'm referring to. Because it seems to me that he has to lose everything in order to realize what he's always had in front of him all along. And again, it goes back to Candice, but I'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Now, you look at when Celine was telling Jim about why Carlos wants to get to know him, and Jim was quick to jump on the bandwagon of, oh man, I know what this is about. It's all about money. It's always about money. That's all he wants from me. But honestly, it's just like when Candice was going to give up the baby that she wasn't pregnant with, the rest of the money she extorted from Jim, and leave Jim alone for good. It was all about, hey, can you save my brother Benny by taking him to another hospital? But he wouldn't do it. And Jim has had plenty of times where one of his, well, quote unquote enemies, so to speak, has been willing to throw themselves at his feet, give up on their agenda with him, just to, you know, help out somebody else. In Celine's case, it was just like, look, just get to know your son. That's it. That's all he wants to know. And because Jim, you know, scoffed at it, that's why he got exposed on TV as a bad father when he was trying to announce his campaign for governor. Now you look at Celine in that situation, it was all about money and whatnot, and you know how he has Amanda and Wyatt, so he's not even thinking about those boys. Now guess what? He's lost Amanda, who was his favorite child, the apple of his eye. Wyatt is pretty much done with his father. I mean, it seems like he might be having a slight change of heart due to his conversation with Anna during his recovery process. So it seems that he's beginning to open his eyes a bit more to the whole, look, my parents might suck, but at the same time, I don't have it as bad as I think I do. So that might make him a little more hesitant to get on the stand to testify against his parents during, you know, the trial coming up, especially since Jennifer's dead now. And also you think about how Jim, you know, no more house, like Catherine's divorcing him, their house is gone. I mean, he has money, but he doesn't have Catherine Cryer money. So it seems like, you know, he's pretty much in a bit of a bind now. I wouldn't say that he's going to be living in a box, so to speak, but put it this way, as Catherine put it when he gave that 7.4 million to Candice, even though he got a few million back when Oscar was finished with her. Even Catherine was like, look, that's your alimony, that's it, we're done. And he was like, okay. So he literally has nothing. And remember that Catherine cleaned out the house. The only items left in the house were Jim and the things he had in his office space, but I doubt he cleaned that out. So when Catherine burned down the house, that's everything. He's pretty much on the street at the moment right now. So you have to think about, he's losing everything around, even his connections, like with the Malones, that's pretty much over and done with. So that's pretty much, his reputation is pretty much shot all to hell. I mean, unless, you know, things get slightly better with the whole Jennifer's Body on television, Jim has nowhere to go. So it seems to me like after losing everything, he's finally going to open his eyes and realize that, hey, you know what? I should be a father to, you know, my children, my Celine and whatnot, and maybe start anew. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think that's going to be an interesting take. Now, what does this have to do with Candice, as I mentioned before? And I've said in plenty of videos that her and Jim are pretty much cut from the same mold in regards to their character, because they're literally one and the same. They both had to learn the same lesson. They're from different sides of the track, but when you really look at the show's progression, those two are always in almost the same similar situations, either at the same time or one before the other. And just as Jim has to lose it all to realize the truth, Candice, on the other hand, has to gain everything that she thinks she wants in life and then lose it before she finally realizes what's important, and that's her being a mother. So just as, you know, Jim is losing his children, I mean, Wyatt isn't dead yet. I mean, but he's pretty much lost Wyatt. Wyatt's just through with him and Catherine. He's lost Amanda, so it might be a perfect opportunity for him not to fail with his youngest son by Celine. And Candice's case, again, remember that in real life, Tinka Sumter was pregnant. And again, I said this before, but congratulations to, I believe, her and Justin's actor, Nick. I forgot his name. What is it, Nicholas? I forgot. I think it's Nick. They had a baby in real life, a daughter, I believe. So at some point, depending on the filming and whatnot, I don't really know. I think Candice in some cases has been showing, but they've done well to hide it in terms of, like, you know, her outfits and what she's wearing, like trench coats and robes and whatnot. So let's just say, for example, in the haves and the have-nots, if Candice is written in to be pregnant, and I'm not sure she will be, because maybe during the hiatus of the seasons, that's when she was, you know, fully showing and then had her baby. Well, let's just say, for example, if she were to get pregnant in the show, I would be interested to know who the baby's father would be. Would it be Warlock, you know, after all the times he, you know, pretty much took advantage of Candice? Or maybe Charles? I doubt it's Jim at this point. No, they haven't had sex in a while. Might be Oscar, but I don't know. But let's just say if she were having another baby in the haves and have-nots, it would be her opportunity after losing Quincy Jr. to actually be a good mother. So again, this is just me kind of theorizing. Do you think that because Jim is losing everything around him and everyone, is that a potential plot point for him to be eventually go back to Celine, not necessarily as a couple, so to speak, but actually as a father? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I think this would be a very interesting way of writing Celine, Carlos, and the other, you know, son back into the series. So I just want to hear your thoughts, and I'll talk to you later.